Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Jarnigan. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Cedar Valley, and I'm very excited to welcome Eric Hanna, who is the Tax Manager at Hogan Hansen. We're going to have a really good conversation this morning talking about things that you should know, keep tax provision updates as you're looking to file your taxes for 2020. It's been a wild year. Some having unemployment for the first time, businesses receiving stimulus from all sorts of different places. So Eric graciously offered his time to come on and talk about what you should know, what you need to expect. But Eric, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Maybe talk a little bit before we get started?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Aaron. Like you said, work for Hogan Hansen, public accounting firm. We're 5 offices throughout Iowa, so anything ranging from small to medium-sized, large companies. We do full service, so anything monthly service payroll up to tax returns, audits. We've seen most of it, as well as we do offer wealth management. So always looking for new clients, new opportunities.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I actually think there was a little bit of a glitch on our end, so I apologize. Facebook listeners who have joined in, you probably missed the intro, but this is Eric Hanna. He's the tax manager with Hogan Hansen. And again, just with this crazy year and many facing unemployment for the first time and stimulus, he's just going to give us some good insight and tips on what to know as you're looking to report on your taxes for 2020. But Eric, I'll go ahead and get into it. The first question that I had is, what should folks who experience unemployment for the first time know as they walk into reporting their taxes for 2020?
Yeah, so like you said, a lot of people that probably haven't received unemployment in the past received unemployment in 2020. The state will be sending out, or have already sent out, what's called a 1099-G. That's going to report the total unemployment that you've received for the year. And actually, they just came out and said that if you received it prior to January 25th, they'll actually be sending out a corrected one. So pretty much ignore the 1099 that you received prior to January 25th. But that is taxable income that we need to be reporting on your tax return. If you're self-employed and you received unemployment, it is not something that you have to report with your business income. It's not subject to self-employment taxes, but it is subject to your taxes at the ordinary rate.
Awesome. And I think it's interesting this year with some of those single business owners being able to file for unemployment and receive some of those benefits. Has anything like that been available in the past, or is that really just this year?
Not that I'm aware of, especially for self-employed individuals. And then also, there was the extra, $600 a week, and that's also taxable as well. So whatever's reported on the 1099 has got to be reported as income.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, great insight. And I would encourage, if you're an audience member and have any questions that you'd like Eric to touch on, I just encourage you to comment those, because we can see those come in and we'd be happy to discuss. This next question is one that we've heard a lot of times, and so I'm interested to hear what you have to share. But for employees that are working from home, maybe they work for a company, are there going to be any tax breaks that they can report as they're working from home?
Unfortunately, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news, and there is not. So they switched the laws in 2018 with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that pretty much removed all of unreimbursed employee expenses. That used to be an itemized deduction, and that is no longer available. It is still available for self-employed individuals. So if you have a Schedule C, you can still take advantage of that. Office needs to be used exclusively for the business. But like I said, there isn't anything for if you receive a W-2 or you're an employee for an employer.
Gotcha. So any sort of those, payback that you would receive would probably only from the company, if that's something that they would have set up then.
Correct. Yep.
Perfect. And so this might be a loaded question, but what information do businesses and individuals need to know regarding reporting of stimulus, like PPP or some of the other ones that we were talking about before the call? But what information do they need to know?
For businesses, we need to know, PPP, I'm sure you've already worked with your accountant to get the loan. And then if you've worked on any forgiveness so far, we need to know, how much you received, when you received it. And then if it's been forgiven, it's not taxable, but we do need to report it on the business side. And obviously the expenses that you used with those PPP funds are deductible. And that was kind of the big change that came with the latest stimulus bill in December, was that all those expenses are deductible. And then any other grant that you've received, we need to know, pretty much all of that, so that we can report it properly on the tax return. And then as far as individuals go, we do need to know, exactly how much you received for the first and second stimulus checks. There's a true up on the tax return this year, so that, if you either had a kid in 2020, you'll get another stimulus check for that. 'Cause you probably did not receive that with the first or second stimulus. And then also, they're basing the stimulus checks on your 2018 or 2019 income. So if your income is down or decreased in 2020, you should get more of that stimulus check on your 2020 return. And if you don't report anything, you will get a credit, because that was what they called an advance credit. So, we want to know everything as far as how much you received, so we can get any money back. And if your income did go up from 2019 to 2020, there's no repayment of anything like that if you're now phased out due to your income or anything like that.
Gotcha. So this is a question that I've seen then. So are those stimulus checks going to be reported as income on your tax returns?
No, they are not reported as income. It's an advanced credit, so it reduces your tax liability. But no, you don't have to repay any of that, and it's not considered income.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for that insight. And then the last question that I have, are there any changes in deadlines or extensions that we should be aware of in terms of tax reporting?
As of right now, there is not. Individuals, the only thing we cannot file the tax returns until mid-February, but that doesn't mean hold on to it, get it in as soon as possible. There's going to be a lot going on with tax returns this year. Probably a little bit more information that we need from individuals and businesses. So the sooner you get it in there, the more time that we'll have to get it going. There is obviously the normal 6-month extensions that we can do, but that doesn't extend your payments. The payments will still need to be made by April 15th. Last year they extended a lot of those due dates for payments. As far as right now goes, there's nothing that's been extended or anything like that.
Got it. And another thing I just thought of, I remember when that first stimulus bill was going around, it was the businesses who were able to really benefit from that were the ones that had all their tax information in order and their books kept up nice. Do you have any tips or best practices for businesses who maybe didn't have those books so clean, just as we continue to move forward and there's the potential of more stimulus on the horizon?
Possibly. I've worked with one self-employed individual that was applying for the second round of PPP, and you can use, for the second round of PPP, you can use your 2019 or 2020 income. And if you know that your 2020 income is going to be higher, you can use a draft of the Schedule C to apply for that second round of the PPP. So that would be my only suggestion, to try to get that, determined as soon as possible. We don't have to have the tax return filed, but we do need a draft that is going to be pretty close, if not exact, to what you're going to file, once we're able to file the tax return.
Awesome. Well, great information. We touched on, folks who experienced unemployment for the first time. Unfortunately, no tax breaks for those who are working from home. But just good information to know. Eric, do you have any other things that you'd like to touch on, or any other things we should be aware of as we go into this reporting season?
One thing for individuals is that usually to take a charitable contribution, you need to itemize on your tax return. They did a different part of the bill was that you can take a charitable contribution up to $300 on top of taking the standard deduction, and that's $300 per tax return. That's not per person. So, married filing jointly doesn't get $600. Because I know a lot of people, they're like, well, I don't itemize, so I don't need to keep track of that anymore. But most likely you do itemize on Iowa. So just something to think about if you did, if you haven't in the past itemized, so you haven't given your accountant charitable contributions or haven't taken advantage of that on your tax return, you definitely want to take advantage of that this year, because that's on top of the standard deduction.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for this morning. Thank you for your time. We really went over a lot of good information. Eric, do you have a way for people, if they have questions or, probably more private questions, what's the best way that they can reach out to you or your office?
Yeah, definitely email, phone call, either way. HoganHansen.com. Tell you exactly which offices, where our locations are, but I'm located in Waterloo. We have a Cedar Rapids office, Ames, Ankeny, and then Mason City. Phone number. If you want me to give that out, I can give it out. Email, it's kind of up to you.
Well, whatever you're comfortable with. But we just encourage people, if they do have questions, that Eric was gracious enough to spend some time with us this morning and run over some of the information that we need to be considering as we move into this tax season.
Yep. Work with a lot of small businesses, large businesses. So we're big enough to handle the bigger corporations clients, but then also the small feel to get the relationship. We're definitely very relationship driven. So
awesome. Well, again, Eric, thank you for your time. Well, again, my name is Aaron, and we spent time with Eric Hanna, who is the tax manager at Hogan Hansen here in the Cedar Valley, and we just appreciate his time and sharing information. Again, we covered lots of stuff like information for those who experienced unemployment for the first time this year. If there's any tax breaks, which unfortunately there aren't for those who work at home, PPP, stimulus, that information. But thank you for your time, Eric. It'll be a busy season for you, I'm sure it always is, but just appreciate the time this morning.
Yep, definitely. If you're considering even first round or second round of PPP, definitely talk with the bankers, talk with your accountants, see if you qualify. It doesn't hurt to look into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for those who joined in, and again, thank you, Eric, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next time.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Aaron.